serious?
Alright everybody, welcome back. So with the latest round of battle rating changes, we did go ahead and see the F-104J get lowered to 10.3. It was one of the few plain BR changes that was in there, and I figured since no one else is probably going to cover this thing, I may as well do it. So why did this thing go down in the first place? You know, since the other F-104Gs, since this by the way is the exact same airframe as the F-104G, are staying at 10.7. Well, unlike pretty much all the other F-104s, this thing does not have flares. The Italian and German F-104Gs have flares, so does the F-104S, and then the Taiwanese and the Japanese F-104s do not have flares for whatever reason. I'm really not sure why. I know that technically there's no proof that they did actually carry flares, but at this point, with all the other things that Gaijin has done, in my opinion, they both should have gotten flares because it's clearly compatible. The Germans and the Italians have flares in their F-104Gs. Just give it to these two. I just really feel bad for the Taiwanese F-104 because at least this thing got a down tier to 10.3. I really don't know why they left the F-104G at 10.7. Like, it has bombs and bullpups, and that's the only difference in this thing, and I highly doubt that that's enough to make a difference. But in any case, what do you get with this thing at 10.3? Well, you get one of the fastest planes of the VR, and you get 4 AIM-9Ps. The AIM-9P is a carbon copy of the AIM-9J. It's a 20G missile with okay range, and at this BR, it's alright. It's nothing special, nothing to write home about. The bigger thing for me is that you get the Vulcan, and now that Real Shatter's been fixed, the Vulcan feels amazing. Like, honestly, just run air targets on it. You're going to be getting tons of one-shots. You see all the damage I've been doing. It is incredible. I've been getting most of my kills with the Vulcan now, after the Real Shatter changes. I am very happy about that. But in any case, you're still an F-104, and the lack of flares really does cripple you. Your AIM-9Ps kind of make up for it. You can see they're pretty alright in the dogfight. It does actually kill that A5C as he's turning, but that wasn't a super impressive shot. In pretty much every other missile that is above 10 Gs would have hit it right there. The AIM-9P isn't nearly what it used to be. Its flare resistance isn't that great anymore. It gets one flare like pretty much everything else. 20 Gs, yes, but the drag changes have made it so it's really easy to dodge in most cases now as well. The missile only burns for like 2.2 seconds, and at least the drag is a little bit better than, you know, the Magic, for example, but it's still nothing spectacular. The flight performance-wise, like I said, you are going to be pretty much the fastest thing at your BR. The turn is not where it's at, though. Now, high-speed maneuverability in the F-104 is excellent. Like, when you're above, like, 900 kilometers an hour or so, you're going to be pulling plenty of Gs. You're not going to have any issues. You'll be sitting there at, like, 12 Gs, no problem when you're above Mach. The problem is once you drop below around 800 kilometers an hour or so, this thing bricks up hard. You are able to pop your takeoff flaps at, like, ridiculously high speeds. Like, you can be sitting there going like 750, 800 kilometers an hour like you see right here and pop your takeoff flaps and no issues whatsoever. Your landing flaps aren't nearly as lenient when it comes to that. I want to say you have to be below around like 450 kilometers an hour or so. So you won't be able to get much use out of them. When you do get that slow, though, they do offer quite a lot of lift. If you get that slow, you're going to die, though. So I would not recommend doing so, not at all. Your best bet is going to be staying fast, just like I'm doing right here, slotting in behind people, lobbing off your AIM-9Ps, and you need to stay aggressive. Because if someone gets behind you and they're within range of your missile, you are going to die. This plane is not able to outpull a missile like something like the Ariete, for example. Its only chance is to outrun them. Now, what you can do is go ahead and, for example, use the terrain. Like in my case, I like staying low in this plane for the most part. This lets you at least die behind hills, which, I mean, you can lead the missile into the ground at least, and that way it hits them instead of hitting you. Another option is, if you're fast enough, you can actually wait until the missile burns out and then start doing S-turns, turning left and right. That'll bleed the speed of the missile, and then you'll be able to go ahead and outrun it. But I can't say, by the way, that Harrier crash, But in any case, I can't genuinely say this plane is even good at 10.3. If you manage to get a full down tier, you're going to have a pretty good time, but you're still going to be in games with all aspect missiles. You're still going to be fighting, stuff with R60s, AIM-9Ds. And if something with those missiles gets behind you and fires, and they're too close range, this is what's going to happen. You notice somebody behind you, they're within like 2 kilometers or so, they fire an R60, it kills you. Simple as. By the way, this J-35 was about to go down, and this SE-25 tried to steal the kill, so I decided to take the kill that was being kill stolen, because I figured it'd be better that I take it rather than some stinky SE-25. In any case, I'm sure y'all see now, you either have to play this thing super passive or super aggressive. There is no in between. Because if you slack off for even a little bit, somebody's going to slot them behind you and you're going to die. Because, unlike the F-104Gs and the other trees, you can't flare away their missile. In flareless planes of this BR, especially if they're not very maneuverable, or at least not typically maneuverable, they just really have no place in the meta, unfortunately. So you can perform well in this plane. I've had a really good time in it, actually. I had several 6 or 7 kill games in it, just because you can zoom in and out of games. And if I had gotten a 9.3 game, then I probably would have had an even better time. But to be honest with you, most of my games I was not getting down tiers. Most of my games I was getting 10-0, 11-0 matches, sometimes even 11-3. And 11-3 is really painful for this plane, unfortunately. You do at least have the speed and the missiles to keep up in the 10-0, 11-0 matches. It's just the lack of flares really cripples you. Because think about it, when you're in 11.0, you can fight, the MiG-23 MF, which can carry 6 R-60Ms, and all it has to do is go head on with you, and if you don't have any missiles left, you're dead. By the way, if you do have missiles left, and you're going head on with something that has all aspect missiles, you can actually fire your missile at their missile, and it'll flare away their missile for you. That's your best bet to actually survive against these all-aspect missiles, because most of the time, if you're not doing something like that, unfortunately, you're just gonna die. So, I'm hoping they give this plane flares at some point, but then moving it down to 10.3 makes me think that they're not going to, so it's just gonna be kind of stuck in a state of limbo. It's similar to the F1 in that regard. The F1 has a similar issue where it has 2 good flight performance to go down to 10.0, but it has no flares. And so most games, it just gets beamed by something with R60Ms or AIM-9Ls. And this just comes back to that same issue of compression. We're getting these subsonic attackers with very good missiles at lower and lower BRs. Now, luckily, they have gotten moved up a little bit. We no longer have 9.7 SE-25 or 9.7 A-10. But that still doesn't help these planes that got, power creep, because they got added years ago, back when flares weren't necessary. And nowadays, if you don't have flares this BR, you're kind of boned. I don't want to rant for too long, so I'll go ahead and stop it there, but I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I wish this plane would be good. Unfortunately, it's just not meta at 10.3. Even at 10.0, it probably wouldn't be. Just go fly the German one. But in any case, I'll catch y'all next time. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and peace, y'all.